Hey guys, it's Jesus McDonald here. So today, my special guest is Chris Dreyer, who is the CEO and founder of Rankings.io, an agency that specializes in personal injury lawyer SEO. His agency ranks personal injury firms for the most lucrative keywords in your industry with end to end SEO from content creation to technical optimization. Chris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Let's dive right into the questions. What inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
I've always been an entrepreneur. My mom's called me a rebel, and just I get excited about opportunity and growth. What I have a history education degree, and the reason I have that is like I felt bad that I was spending my parents' money in college, and I just wasn't getting to anything. And I was like, well, I've got to come up with a degree. But I told my parents before I went to college that I was going to own my own business, so I knew that going in. But
Mhm.
I've just always been that way. My uncle was the CEO of some major corporations and was just wildly successful. So I always had that in sight as well.
Nice, nice. So you've been pretty much. Did you know that you wanted to do SEO, or was it more like something that kind of grew on you?
Not at all. I tell this story. I did the worst query ever when I was in the detention room. I was a teacher at Heron High School in Southern Illinois. I typed in how to make money online, and I found Ed Dale's affiliate marketing course. By the end of my second year teaching, I had taught myself affiliate marketing and was making about triple what I was teaching.
Yeah,
So I pursued that full time.
that's interesting. Yeah. And I don't think you're the first who's, how do I make the most money? There's
Right.
people now that Google search, how do I start an online business? Passive income,
Yeah.
all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Back in the day, there weren't any legitimate courses. There were very few.
That's true.
So I had to go to like the Warrior Forum, Keyword Academy, SEO book, all those places to learn. It just nothing was structured for education in this area.
Hmm. That makes sense. Now, I do have some questions. So I posted it on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm doing a podcast interview with an SEO expert. What questions would you like me to ask them? Right. So I do have a few questions that I received from LinkedIn professionals that they wanted me to ask you in this podcast interview. So I'll give you a few of them here. What does it really take to get a website in a competitive market to the top?
In a competitive market like the personal injury verticals and major metros, a lot of production. At the end of the day, SEO is a production game,
Hmm.
production in high quality content, in a great website and user experience and internal linking and promotion, not only from a local perspective in acquiring reviews and citations, but also link acquisition. To rank in a competitive market, you really have to create a high amount of production in the SEO activities that really generate prominence throughout the web.
And it's not just content itself, right? Because there's people that can post blogs, every day of the week, right? But that's
Mhm.
not even enough.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And in some cases, I see a lot of SEO agencies, they'll put in their SEO package 4 blogs per month or 4 pages. Like you're
Yes,
just,
I see that all the time.
everybody's doing that. So you're just treading water. You have to create something different. You have to create content that's written in a different perspective. And by the nature of being different, you automatically stand out because if everyone is researching a topic, the LSI keywords and jamming them in there, you're not going to stand out. It's going to be very common, and Google's looking for original information.
Nice. What content have you, I mean, I know it's a number of factors, right, that help to rank and to really get up through the pages. But what would you say if you had to choose one form of marketing and be like, this works, this is what I'm going to do. If it's blogging, it's blogging. If you had to choose one, like if someone was bootstrapped, had a gun pointed to their head, and they're like, "Which one are you going to do to improve your SEO? Which one would you choose?"
It would absolutely be content development. It's hard for me to say just blogging. I just say content development because you have to in a strong content marketing strategy, you have to create content at all areas of the funnel. You need your broader pieces, your top of the funnel that can act as an opportunity to acquire links. You need your middle of the funnel content to answering questions to educate the
Right.
consumer that they have, that you can solve their issue, and then the bottom of the funnel, those sales pages. So if I had to pick one, I'd absolutely say content development, because you can get really narrow on your topics. In my space for personal injury, if you're going after the phrase car accident lawyer, you're in for a battle. Everybody wants that. But if you
Right.
start looking at, let's trying to rank for Uber or Lyft car accidents, or you get narrow about scooter injuries and
Mm,
things like that, you can carve out a little niche that could be very lucrative.
nice. I like that. Another question that I have is, how much should companies expect to pay for SEO services? Like, maybe let's talk about a small business and then maybe a medium-sized company, right?
Yeah, it really depends on the stage of their development. If you're a solo practitioner or a new business owner, then you need to get those foundational components together: a great website, great landing pages, your Google My Business profile optimized, you're in those core directories,
Hmm.
the foundation. And I think that's a great place to start. You can start acquiring reviews, you can start generating content your own, on your own, bootstrapping. If you want, so what would you expect to invest? Very little if you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And you could get an SEO specialist to do those foundational activities for maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a month. But if you're going to go after a huge head term with high intent, no
Hmm.
matter what industry you're in, if it's competitive, it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease. You're going to have to really get your hands dirty, because a lot of these businesses already have acquired that market share, and they
Yeah.
understand how valuable it is because they're generating leads from that position.
Got you. So it's not that they're doing the same type of services that, you know, the small SEO expert one man shop is doing. They have systems in place that work.
Absolutely. And it comes down to a span of control for your team.
Mm,
If you're if you're working on a lower investment, you may have an SEO specialist, or you embody those SEO specialist activities that are like a generalist. They're doing everything. They're writing
right.
content, they're optimizing your site, they're doing the local SEO, the link building. But if you're in a productivity battle and you need a deep level of expertise, your span of control is much wider. You'll have a silo for content. You'll have a content team. You have an on-page team, a technical team, a development team, a local team, a link building team, and the sky's the limit. And all of that lends itself to deep expertise and the ability to scale your production.
Yeah, I love that. Now, another question that I have. So, in your opinion, what's the next big thing coming in regards to SEO? Because I feel like SEO is changing on a daily, maybe even hourly, right?
Yeah. The next big thing, and I think Google's been really trying to figure this out, is how they combat individuals just writing longer form content to manipulate the search engine, because it's truly not the best experience for consumer if they have to dig and find their information.
Mm,
So Google is now ranking passages of a website. And what I mean, and I think this is going to be substantially more common, where in the past, if you searched for internet marketing courses,
mhm.
you would find the results, you'd click on them, and you'd be directed to the top of the page. And then you'd have to scroll down and find whatever you're looking for. Google's becoming much smarter in analyzing where on the page is the answer. So now, if
Right.
you did internet marketing courses and the first result talked about it, maybe let's say 4 paragraphs down, I think they'll direct you to start reading at that section. It's those discretionary sections. I think it's going to become more and more prevalent. You're already seeing it in the rich snippets, but I think as they evolve, that's what they're going to use to combat the long form pages.
Mm. So it's kind of like, I don't even know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, maybe long form content isn't really the place to spend a lot of money. If you're answering the question, then just get straight to the point and boom, 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 5 paragraphs. That's all you need. You don't need 5,000 words on a blog post.
Yeah, I think it's really true, and I think I'll give you 2 examples. So if the query that you're targeting is a long tail phrase, what are
Hmm.
the steps I need to take after a car accident?
Hmm.
You know the intent behind the query. You know exactly how to respond and
Right.
write a blog for that article. But if the query's super short and it's car accidents, and I know I'm talking in my exact industry, but this could be
Hmm.
any industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't really know the intent. Like, why did the individual type car accidents? Were they hurt? Did they want to know how many accidents have occurred? They're looking to hire an attorney. Are they looking for types of car accidents, of car accident safety? We just don't know.
Mhm.
So you have to include a lot of information around that topic so that you can answer for multiple forms of intent, which lends itself to longer form content.
Yeah. Are you a fan of longer form content when it comes to SEO?
Well, from a profitability standpoint, no, I am not, right? Because we have to pay our writers more and more for it. But
Right.
I think about the glory days back when 500 words could do its damage in the search results. Those were the best days. So
Yeah.
no, but it is what it is. You got to adapt.
Yeah. Now, what's your perspective on LSI keywords? You mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, and I want to talk about this because it seems like a very hot topic this month.
Geez, I think it's important to answer the consumer's questions, especially those middle. A lot of times, those LSI phrases are the middle of the funnel.
Hmm.
It's more an educational type of situation. The thing that's different though is, or what we're seeing is everyone's structuring the page the same,
Right.
and they're including these LSIs on all their long form content. So it's leading to a lot of similar content. I won't call it duplicate.
Hmm.
Okay, it passed Copyscape. I get you. It's 100% unique in air quotes.
Yeah.
I think that what needs to happen though is there needs to be different perspectives. The content needs to be structured in different frameworks in order to truly maximize its visibility. At least that's my opinion.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a place for it. It's going to be difficult to rank the more individuals that do it.
Right. Now, I've been seeing a lot of blog posts just on the web. Some have the publish date, some don't. Do you know
Uh-huh.
what the reasoning behind that is? I don't know if it's by design or if it's more just like a strategy thing around SEO.
That's a great question. And I really don't. What I
Yeah.
can tell you is when we take on a client, we do a competitive analysis through SEMrush or Ahrefs. Our preferred tool is Ahrefs.
Hmm.
We pop in their top pages and we see an old article from 2015 or 16
Right.
hasn't been updated. It's going to generate a lot of traffic. We don't always immediately update it. If it's already ranking number one, even though it has the old timestamp, sometimes we're afraid as an SEO specialist to get that
Yeah.
recrawled. Maybe it'll categorize it in the worst position.
Mm, that's
But
good
there is
advice.
the downside that, yeah, it's maybe not going to get as many click throughs because people see the old timestamp. I know if I'm sick and I type something in, I'm looking at like
Yeah.
the Mayo Clinic, or not Mayo Clinic, but just one of those WebMD, and I see
Hmm.
an article from 2015, I'm probably going to click on the 2020.
Right.
But it's also one of those balancing acts. Like, do you really want to risk updating it just to change the timestamp and add some fresh content and jeopardize your already dominant position? So there's a balancing act there for sure.
Yeah. Even like I remember one of our blog posts that we have is, best web design best practices for 2020. Right now we're in 2021. So
Right.
I'm thinking, do I change that to 2021 and really update whatever needs to be updated? Some of it is very consistent and relevant, but I'm just like, or do I just write a new blog post for 2021?
I think
Because
that's
who would click on a 2020?
You're absolutely right. And that's actually queries that I've used myself. Best law firm websites of 2020, things like that. I mean, that's a very common high traffic post. I don't know. I think the answer is I would probably write the new and then link
Yeah.
from the other page that has authority to the new one and see if
Mm.
that works. But if it doesn't work, then I might go refresh the old one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We never know. It's always experimenting, right?
Right.
That's funny. Now, who is your ideal client? Because we have, entrepreneurs, we have marketing professionals that tune into the show from time to time, and maybe they're really resonate with what you're talking about. I definitely know a lot of my clients and even website leads or prospective clients that we get. The number one, if it's not number one, it's the number two thing that they ask for is other than website design development, do you do SEO? And SEO, SEO, SEO. So
Mhm.
people that are listening and need SEO services and this resonates with them, maybe your ideal client would be perfect.
Yeah, ours. I mean, our ideal client are personal injury attorneys wanting to dominate their market. That they really want to move in and attack major metros.
Mhm.
Those are our ideal client. I think that if you're in a less competitive market, or maybe you're not a personal injury attorney, there's probably someone better fit for you at that stage of your business.
Mhm.
But we really want to attack, the major metros: Los Angeles, Chicago,
Mhm.
the ones that people typically uh, don't want to go into because um, they're just really saturated.
And is there a reason why you chose specifically to target attorneys?
Yeah, it's kind of long winded. Back, I had an experience working with attorneys at a
Mhm.
previous agency. I became their lead SEO specialist before I struck out on my own.
Mm.
That previous agency, I call them my anti mentors because they were really they taught me what not to do in running a business.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just really connected with the attorneys, and to be honest, when you're choosing a niche, you have to be careful with risk
Mhm.
when you go as narrow as me, and not only picking a vertical but also a horizontal. And attorneys have been around forever. There's always going to be somebody that's hurt, and the insurance companies are going to try to lowball them. So there's going to
Right.
be a need for personal injury attorneys. We get called the ambulance chaser, and I just have to laugh because it, it's so weird. Personal injury attorneys have this horrible reputation for being
Yeah.
these ambulance chasers, and nobody wants to deal with them. But they're the plaintiff attorneys that are trying to get you money for the insurance companies. It just doesn't make any sense at all, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because going on a little tangent here, I was talking to a divorce lawyer that was looking for a website redesign, and they found us on Google. I was like, "Yeah, hope you're having a great day." And she's like, "I don't know about that."
Yeah.
She's like, "Well, what comes with my territory?" There's a
Yeah.
lot of negativity. I'm like, "Dang, that's crazy."
Emotionally, I couldn't do it. And I'll tell you also, working with criminal defense attorneys
Oh yeah.
conflicted with my values
Mm,
because yeah, I know. Okay, so someone went down a wrong path, but like, look, I don't want to do PR and bury their horrible things that are on the web. Like,
yeah.
that's part of the consequence.
Hmm.
So I kind of bowed out of the criminal defense. Not that there aren't some phenomenal criminal defense attorneys, I really, that do great work, but it kind of, in some situations, it was conflicting with my values personally.
That makes sense. Now, you do have, I mean, if there's someone that comes to you or reaches out to you, um, you do have maybe, industry partners or some other
Oh, yeah.
SEO services that you can point them in the right direction.
Oh, yeah. And we treat referrals very seriously. It's not a situation where we're gonna send you to a churn and burn agency that doesn't do good work, because that's
Right.
our reputation. We take that really serious.
And what's the best way to get in contact with you, Chris?
The best way is our website, rankings.io, and I'm most active on LinkedIn, and
Hmm.
I accept all LinkedIn connections. If you just search for Chris Dreyer, I'll answer any message that's sent to me there.
Awesome. And the last question that I got for you, do you have any advice or tips for our listeners?
Yeah, go do it. There's a saying between the difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneur is the entrepreneur takes action. So anything that
Mm.
you've been ruminating on and maybe haven't pursued, just go do it. And then you can, get it done, then get it right. That's the best piece of advice that I could give you.
I love that. Any final words?
Oh, it's just been a pleasure speaking SEO. I love this stuff.
Same here. Yeah, no, I can talk about it all day, but I appreciate you. Thank you for your time, and on to the next one.